Are you recording?
Yeah, it's recording. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Yes, gain seekers, I hope you're all doing well, and as always, I hope you've all had a positive day. And here we are yet again for another Gain Seeker podcast. And my goodness, we've done so many now. And I'll tell you the truth, I'm always excited for every single one because I love going through your guys' questions, sharing that knowledge, sharing that experience that we have with the amount of people that we've coached, and hopefully not only giving you a better insight into everything that you're doing and how to build your body, but also giving you an education on why we do what we do, right? And the logic behind it. There's so much to be learned from these podcasts, and the feedback has actually been overwhelming. So I got to say to you guys, I love doing it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, even when we were using coaches, a lot of coaches would just give you a plan or give you or direct you or anything or something. They wouldn't really tell you why they're doing stuff. So we try to use these podcasts as a way to actually give you a little bit more information than we kind of already do. And then sometimes you can see if you have a question and it relates to you and it might actually help.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So without further ado, we're going to jump straight into it. And some good questions. I'll be honest with you, I really like the questions for this podcast. So I'll start off with the first question that we got here. And it is, I notice that there are so many pre-workouts available on the market. Is it necessary to have a pre-workout? And what do I recommend, right? So the first thing that I'm going to say to you is this whole sort of situation of having a pre-workout before you train to get a great session. It's something that's been ushered in the culture of training just very lately. To be honest with you, it's kind of really boomed in the sort of Instagram, social media, Facebook sort of growth, right? And the reality is this, a lot of people now think that you need to have a pre-workout as if it's a requirement for you to train hard. And that's what I don't like. So I don't want you guys to misconstrue. I'm not against pre-workouts, all right? I'm not sitting here demonizing pre-workouts. That's honestly not what I'm about. What I'm saying to you is that you shouldn't become reliant that you need a pre-workout to have a really good workout, right? And if you don't have your pre-workout, then your workout's doomed. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in that mindset. And if you subconsciously program yourself that way, where your sort of mental tick list before you go and train is going to be, well, I need to get my pre-workout in, then I'll have a great session. I'm telling you now, right, that you're going to become reliant on that. When it comes to having a great workout, I think the thing that a lot of people miss out on is that having a great workout has got more to do with just being in a hydrated state, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I will get clients to do, and I tell clients to do, is that if you really want to perform well in your training sessions, first thing that you need to look at before you worry about having a pre-workout or anything like that is get on top of your hydration, man, right? Make sure that you're genuinely getting in enough water every single day. Make sure, right, that you're genuinely taking the time to add salt to your meals. Sea salt or pink Himalayan salt or Celtic salt will make a massive difference to your workout performance. And last but not least, something that is very cheap, very effective, that everyone here can do, and I can almost guarantee you will add to the performance in your workout, is take an electrolyte drink every day, right? You know, just the basic standard zero carb electrolyte powder in your water during the day or when you work out will make a massive difference to your performance. Having a great workout, right, is mainly reliant on being hydrated well, right? If you're hydrated well, it's very difficult to have a bad workout, right? And also taking the time that when you're going to go and train, that you at least give yourself 20 minutes to half an hour before your workout to just mentally get yourself prepared. Because if you're looking to train and you're looking to build muscle, right, and you're looking to genuinely improve your physique, then every workout does count. And you do want to make every workout as intense as you possibly can do. And that comes down to, like I say, being well hydrated, right? And at the same time, going in there with the right mindset. I know for me personally, when I was really pushing my training hard, the key thing for me was making sure that I was in a state of hydration, right? Making sure that before my workout, I really had focused in. I thought about the workout that I'm going to have. I thought about the exercises that I'm going to do. I reviewed my logbook from the previous week. And already I've gone through that workout so many times in my head. I've already felt every exercise. I've already seen the numbers that I want to push. And then when you take that into your workout, more times than likely you will have a great workout. Now, if you find that you're having a day where you've got a big body part to train, or you're struggling and you're on the tail end of a cutting phase, or you're not really feeling up to the task, then a pre-workout can be an excellent choice of supplementation, right? Then a pre-workout can be an excellent tool to use. But if you just use a sort of blanket approach and you tell yourself, oh, you know, I need to have a pre-workout before I train, or otherwise I'm not going to have a good workout, then all you're doing really is setting yourself up, in my personal opinion, for failure. Because there's two things. One, your body will get used to that pre-workout, so you'll need harder and harder pre-workouts, which is what you see a lot of people having to turn to. And secondly, you would have almost disabled yourself a bit mentally, because you already created that belief factor in yourself that, hey, for me to have a great workout, I need to have a pre-workout. You don't realize, guys, so many people have built amazing bodies. So many people have built amazing like in performance-based sports, have been able to increase their performance, been able to increase their progress without pre-workouts, just with good solid nutrition, making sure they stay hydrated and having the right mindset. So I'm not demonizing pre-workouts. They definitely have a place. But what I would do is use them infrequently. That way you get more from the pre-workout when you do take it. And secondly, you're not reliant upon it to have a great workout. So hydration is key. This is the key thing. If you want to have a great workout, even if you're lacking for carbohydrates, even if you are in a deficit, even if you are in a cutting phase, you will be dumbfounded at how just paying attention to your hydration will actually be the key factor in whether you have a good workout or not. Yeah, so what do you say?
Yeah, you can try every single pre-workout on the market, and I'm telling you now, you are not going to get a better pump and a better session than you would if you're fully hydrated, you are salting your meals, you're taking the adequate amount of sodium in. The pre-workouts are supplements at the end of the day. Supplements like any other kind of supplement, where they're supposed to supplement your basic diet. And you can get the same kind of pump from eating properly, hydrating properly, making sure you're salting your meals, making sure you're resting properly. Then when you add a pre-workout in, the sessions are just going to go through the roof. And there's two types of pre-workouts. There's a pump-only pre-workout and there's a caffeine pre-workout, a stim-based pre-workout, some would say. Now, the stim-based pre-workout are really good if you are waking up early and you just need a little pick-me-up. The pump workouts can help you get a really good pump, but like we're saying, they shouldn't be over-relied on, because if you are hydrating properly, if you are getting the rest, if you are actually building up to that session, that alone should be able to carry you into your session to have a really good session. And then the pre-workouts will just be like a fucking added bonus that just drives you to that next level when you need it.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And I think you also touched on a good point there, is to understand the different pre-workouts that are available. So usually there's two main type of pre-workouts available. One is focused on pump, where that uses a lot of vasodilation ingredients. So basically what that is going to do is it's going to enhance blood flow to your muscle when you are training by creating a situation of vasodilation, right? They're not too bad. To be honest with you, they're not too bad, because if you're feeling like, do you know what, I want more of a pump in this workout, or you're feeling a little bit flat, a vasodilator-based pre-workout can actually be really effective. And what I like about that is when you're talking about taking a pre-workout that is focused on pump, you're not going to have the situation where you get the jitters. You're not going to have the situation where your heart rate is racing. You're not going to have the situation where you have a crash or a come down, right? So I think, like, when we talk about pre-workouts, vasodilator-based pre-workouts that are all about enhancing blood flow and enhancing your pump, those are actually really good and can be used on a decently frequent basis. Mm-hmm. The ones that I don't like is the stimulant-based ones, because when you have a pre-workout that's just chock-loaded with stimulants, a lot of people don't look at the 4D effect of it. So you think to yourself, oh God, you know what? I take that pre-workout, it gets me hyped up, it gets me alert, right? I can go into my training session and I've got loads of energy, right? And I get it. When you're having a difficult day, right? Or you're struggling to get in tune mentally with your workout, right? Taking a pre-workout like that is almost like a lightning bolt. It just brings you back to life, right? But again, you don't want to use it on a frequent basis because you've got to think about what you're doing, man, right? So if you're taking a pre-workout and you're doing it every single workout and it's a stimulant-based one, and it's just jacking your heart rate through the roof, right? And you're crashing coming down, right? You don't realize that that's a lot to put your heart through, man. I know so many people who have suffered heart issues from overusing stimulants. And a lot of bodybuilders, they don't factor in that your heart is a muscle. So if you're taking supplementation that is actually jacking your heart rate up so it's having to work harder, and you're taking anabolic steroids, which is unprejudiced, every single muscle in the body will grow because it's now in a more anabolic environment. Think about what you're doing. You're taking a pre-workout that's jacking your heart rate right up. You're on anabolic steroids, which is making any tissue in the body pretty much grow, right? This will accelerate heart hypertrophy. And I've honestly sat there and spoke with specialists, the same specialists that look after my heart, that look after his heart and all my brother's hearts because we have a hereditary condition. And they've said to me that so many times they've seen bodybuilders, right, who have been in a situation where they have enlarged hearts, not only because of the steroids that they're using, but also the amount of stimulants they use. Steroids and regular stimulants, right, in my personal opinion, think about it logically. It's a recipe for disaster, man.
Some of those stimulant pre-workouts have 300-400 milligrams of caffeine in.
It's too much.
You've got to think how many fucking cups of coffee you've actually got to have to equal that 300-400 milligrams of caffeine. And some people will end up taking 2 scoops. You're talking 800 to a gram of fucking caffeine in one sitting. And that's not just helping you during your training. Think about it afterwards. How long is your heart going to take to get back down from that?
Exactly that.
Do you know what I mean? You're just causing unneeded stress.
And I'm not trying to shit on pre-workouts or the supplements or anything like that. I'm just asking you guys to think a bit more, man. Do you think it's normal 4 or 5 days a week you're sitting there and your heart rate's through the fucking roof, or your heart rate's sitting at an accelerated pace and you're not even doing anything just because of a supplement you took? Do you think that your heart working that hard and then having to have a big come down is going to be something beneficial to your health? Think about the 4D picture and you will understand the logic of where I'm coming from. So hopefully that helps you. Okay, now we'll get on to the next question. Is it possible to bulk up on just protein and fats, right? I have heard this is a good way to keep lean. So the question is it possible for you to gain muscle on just a protein and fat diet? And is this an effective way for you to stay in great shape as you're gaining muscle? So if you follow on the internet, right, which I'm sure if you're watching this, you're definitely somebody that's active on the internet, you will see there is a bit of a trend starting to take shape. And that is people bulking on high protein, high fat diets. And the sort of general theory or consensus behind it is that if you stick to protein and fats and get in a calorie surplus when you're predominantly made up of protein and fats, that you'll stay leaner because you keep insulin levels low. Right, that's the theory behind it. So the whole point is that the whole idea is that if you're in a calorie surplus, so you've got enough food in you to grow, but that food is predominantly just pretty much protein and fats, right? That because your insulin levels are going to be low, that you're going to gain less body fat. Now, this is not something new. Guys, what you've got to realize, and I don't like to bullshit you guys ever, is that a lot of what you see in the common space of building a body, when it comes to diets or supplementation or training, whatever, right? It just gets recycled in and out over the decades. You talk about protein and fat diet. Let me give you a little hack, right? So you guys know that I'm not bullshitting you. If you think the protein and fat approach is something new, like, oh, wow, that really makes sense. Using protein and fat to bulk up. Bloody hell, why didn't I think of that? Just research the anabolic diet. The anabolic diet, I think, was 10, 20 years old now, right? If you go into Google, research the anabolic diet, this has been going around since the fucking 90s. And here's what I'm going to say to you. I hate to burst your bubble. Protein and fat diet for bulking looks so attractive on paper when you look at it, but in reality, it's honestly not that good. And I'll tell you for why, right? So first of all, when you are in a stage where you're trying to gain muscle, right? You are going to basically systematically, over a period of time, continuously bring your food up. It's very rare that you'll see anybody who's gained a significant amount of muscle and at some stage to gain that muscle hasn't had to force feed. It's just like when you're cutting, man. Ask anybody that's got shredded. There will be phases on that fat loss phase where they got shredded, where they've been fucking starving, right? The same as with bulking. So many times when you're trying to put on a good amount of muscle, serious muscle, growing out your fucking clothes muscle, right? Where you're gonna have to force feed, whether you like it or not. And what people don't look at, they don't look at every aspect of what you're doing. So if you say to yourself, well, do you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to just stick to protein and fats. I want to keep my insulin level stable, right? I'm not going to have a lot of carbs, and that's how I'm going to bulk up. In the beginning, you'll think that you've hit some sort of miracle diet, because that initial sort of calorie surge, right? You will stay tighter, you will look drier, you will retain less water, right? So you almost think to yourself that you're getting more dry gains, right? And that's, again, the theory behind it. But you don't realize protein and fat in huge amounts, when we start to get deep into a bulk, it puts a lot of pressure on your digestive system. It puts a lot of pressure on your digestive system, right? And if you're now having to force feed with high amounts of fat, high amounts of protein, it's not going to play out like you think. Getting that food in is going to be an absolute chore, a lot more of a chore than if you have a balanced diet spread across protein, carbs, and fats, right? And secondly, don't delude yourself, because your body can absolutely store fat as fat. Like, yes, I understand that you want to maintain insulin levels, right? Because having a diet that's too heavy in carbohydrates is an easy way to get fat. I'm not denying that. But if you think that overeating protein and fats, you won't store body fat, you absolutely will, right? So what is the best way to stay lean or to stay in decent shape as you're putting on muscle? And that's the fucking lottery question that we all want to know.
That's the more important question here than what diet will keep you lean.
Exactly that. And I'll tell you how you do it, because I've done it now. I've lost count of the amount of clients. I've coached over 4,000 people now, right? So many of those have gone onto a bulk, a successful bulk, where they've stayed in decent shape, right? Stayed very tight and gained a good amount of muscle. So I'm going to tell you what's pivotal for that. And it's not a protein and fat diet. Let me tell you what it is. It's about, number one, giving yourself enough time to genuinely grow, right? Cutting is not like bulking, and bulking is not like cutting. Let me give you a great example. Losing 10 pounds of body fat. Most of you watching this should be able to comfortably do that in a 5 to 6 week period. Gaining 10 pounds of muscle, proper muscle. Fuck me, you could be doing that 8 to 10 months. So look at the time disparity difference, right? Cutting, usually in most cases, if not all cases, is a far easier, far more manageable pursuit than gaining muscle tissue. Muscle tissue takes time to build. So first of all, don't think you can rush your bulk, right? You can't get the body to produce muscle at a faster and faster rate. You have to work with the rate of your genetic ability, right? And you have to make sure that you keep yourself in an environment for a good amount of time to grow that muscle. If you really want to change your physique, I'm not talking about where you've gone a bit fuller, right? Your muscles are a bit rounder. I'm talking about when you grow your fucking body out of your t-shirt, right? When you grow your body out of your clothes, where you've done a bulk, where you will never be the same afterwards. And I always tell people, you are only 1 or 2 bulks away from completely changing the whole look of your physique, the whole development. Secondly, right, in my personal opinion, the best way to take advantage of insulin, because managing insulin is probably one of the most pivotal, most fundamental, most powerful things that you can do to building a body. And one of the best ways that you can manage your insulin is to have a carb cycle diet, right? So if you were to take the same diet and you have protein, fat, low carb days with higher carb days intermixed, where you have lower protein and fat, you will find that you'll be able to grow a lot better. You'll have a lot more variety in your diet. Your digestive system will be in a better position. And guess what? You will stay in shape. And then last but not least, is monitoring and being accountable. Like, if your weight's going up too quick, that doesn't mean that you just keep fucking going with it.
No, exactly.
Pull back, harden up a bit, tighten up a bit, slow that pace down, right? If you're looking at your physique every single week and you're being accountable, you're being critical on yourself, and you ask yourself, well, for the weight that I'm gaining, how am I looking? Right? And you make adjustments based on that, which is what I do as a coach, right? Then you'll find that you'll have the most successful bulk that you've ever had. But I wouldn't get tied up into thinking that a protein fat approach is the best way to do it, because I've never personally known anyone to this day who's genuinely gained like physique changing amounts of muscle just sticking to protein and fat. I've never seen it. Don't be scared of carbohydrates, just know how to use them, right? If you know how to manipulate your own insulin levels, you give yourself enough time to bulk, you are continuously reviewing how your physique is changing during that bulk, man, you are going to have a physique changing bulk. It's that simple.
Yeah, 100%. What I will say is that any diet or any plan that completely restricts a food type for no other reason than an allergy or you have a condition, it's not sustainable, and in my opinion, it's not something that you wanna partake in, because you need a balanced diet of everything. You need protein, you need fats, and you need carbohydrates. Really, think about it logically. You need all the food sources. When you go into a heavy protein and fat diet, you have to start replenishing your electrolytes through using supplementation, and you shouldn't have to. If your diet is well balanced enough, you should get all the nutrients that you need. But like Afser said, my tips to staying lean during a bulk, the number one tip, give yourself time. People try to gain as much muscle as quick as possible as they can, and do you know when the most dangerous time is? Straight after you finish a diet, you'll gain 20 pounds and you'll be like, oh, I'm fucking still lean. I can just keep putting my foot down. And you keep on gaining and gaining and gaining. And before you know it, 2 or 3 months has passed, you've completely undone all your work that you have from your diet.
Yeah.
And you're back to fucking square one. Take your time. Building muscle takes time. Number 2, be fucking honest with yourself. Like as I said, if you get on the scales the next week and you're 2 pounds heavier, then 3 pounds heavier, then 4 pounds heavier, are you fucking deluded if you think you're gaining muscle? You're clearly not gaining muscle. Then you need to pull it back and be more realistic. And the number one thing that I see a lot of people not utilising in the off season, actually no, 2, sorry. Number 1 is cardio.
Yep.
Cardio because it's good for the heart. Good heart makes everything else work better. And number 2 is the use of mini cuts. Now, we used to do this a lot, and what actually normally happens to a lot of people is they turn a mini cut into a full cut. Listen to the key word, mini cut. If you are finding that you have gained a bit too much fat and that your pumps in the gym are bad and that you're feeling lethargic and that you're not gaining weight the way that you think you should, take a few weeks, go into a bit of a harsh cut and then reset your body and go again. This is all about keeping your body sensitive. And that's why when Afser said about carb cycling, you do it to keep your body sensitive. On those days where you're not going to the gym and you're just working at your desk, do you need fucking 600 grams of carbs? No, you don't. You can just taper your carbs down and use the carbs during your training sessions and you'll get much better bang for your buck, and you will stay a lot leaner and in better condition whilst also growing.
Bang on. Absolutely bang on. So go to the next question here. Quite a cheeky one.
Shit, we like cheeky ones.
I do like a cheeky one.
A little cheeky one.
I have seen you say, me? Are you talking about me? Are you talking to me? I have seen you say people today compete too often. Surely this is a good thing. Why do you think it's bad? Okay, so the question is this, is that I've often said on record that I feel in today's era that people compete way too often, right? And that's actually what's holding them back. And I guess the sort of premise behind it, the thought behind it is that if you look at most sports, so let's kind of like, let me give you the logic, right, to where I'm coming from to this conclusion, and then you guys, I hope that you can understand how I came to the thought process that I have. So in most sports, right, the way to get better is continuous practice, right? Mm-hmm. Bodybuilding's a sport that's not really like that, right? So if we look at it in the reality, right? So if we look at you're starting out to compete and your goal is to take your career to the point where I would assume that you want to win shows and you would like to turn pro. Competing continuously or competing frequently, in my personal opinion, especially at the beginning stages of your bodybuilding, your competitive bodybuilding journey, is going to hinder you. And I'll tell you why. Because when we talk about getting ready for a bodybuilding contest, unlike any other sport that exists, right, bodybuilders have to go to extreme levels of low body fat. Walking around in competitive condition is not a healthy thing. The body really suffers. It doesn't matter whether you're a natural athlete. It doesn't matter whether you're an athlete using anabolic steroids or performance enhancing drugs, PEDs. You have to realize that when you're walking around at anything below 5% body fat, which is what most bodybuilders are getting on stage at, you're putting your body into an extreme position. And when you try to compete frequently throughout the year, so you're having to not only get into this condition, but you're having to peak the body through water manipulation and everything like that, it puts a lot of stress on your body, man. And the sad thing is that if you're looking to improve between shows, you're going to need more than a couple of months of off season. The problem is that people will compete frequently, year in, year out, and they it's kind of like they shoot themselves in the foot, because when you're competing so frequently, you really take away from the time that you actually need to improve your physique. And if you're not giving your body that time to, one, balance out these hard, harsh preps that you're doing, and two, to give your body some time to grow, then the truth of the matter is that you're not actually going to make significant improvements from show to show. So your sort of placing is never going to drastically improve, right? Because you're just simply giving your body no time to actually make no progress. And I want to be real with you guys, because I know that you love this, right? And I don't like to lie ever. The only way that you can progress in short gaps of time when you're competing frequently is abuse of steroids, right? So don't misconstrue this, because you might see somebody and you're thinking to yourself, well, that person's staying very lean, that person's staying around competitive condition, that person is making improvements between shows. But the truth of the matter is, you don't know their drug cycle. You don't know what they're using. A lot of people online are not very honest about what they're taking. Most people online don't even discuss what they're taking. And I get that, right? That's a personal thing. But then again, you can't mislead people. If you're giving yourself no decent amount of time, which I would say, if you truly want to improve your physique in an off season, 8 to 10 months minimum, right? If you're not giving yourself that break and add another 1.5 to 2 months on to come out of your pre-contest diet, to come out of your pre-contest condition, if you're not giving yourself that time, then really you're going to end up spinning your wheels, man. And it would be better for you to compete less frequently in the beginning of your competition career. Take time, especially the first couple of years, to really build up the muscle tissue that you need and the development that you need. Then have fun with competing frequently. But what tends to happen is, people compete, they get the bug for competing, they like how it feels, they like how they look, right? They want to make improvements, but they want to compete to try and improve their placings. And they get caught up in the trap that so many young people are caught up in now, across the board, in competitive bodybuilding, in all the classes. You have people now that are relying on using higher and higher and higher levels of anabolics, right, to make progress, which might seem really good, because you might think to yourself, well, do you know what? If I increase my cycle, if I take more gear, etc., you know, I'm going to be able to make progress even though I'm close to competitive shape, compete more frequently. But that's a short-lived life, man. Don't fall into this trap. Don't ever listen to a guru that will tell you that there's a healthy way to take heavy gear. That doesn't exist. The reality is that you'd be in a much healthier position all round if you just accepted the fact that in the beginning of your competitive career, you compete less, you spend more time building. Once you are comfortable and you think, do you know what? I've got enough muscle tissue, I've got enough development in my body to go and stand on stage and be placing at the highest level, then compete frequently, perfect your condition, perfect your peaking, perfect your posing, perfect your look, right? But in the beginning, you're honestly doing yourself a disservice by competing frequently. Tone down how regularly you're competing, because it's a big Instagram thing now. It's a big social media thing now. You know, competition is more like a fashion accessory than like the old days when it was just really about the nature and being competitive and being the best, right? Take the time, plan your off season properly, give yourself enough time to grow, do it healthily, don't fall into the trap of using more and more gear, and just be fucking patient with it. There's one sport that is really all about time, and that's bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is probably one of the only sports where you need to give an athlete a good amount of time for them to truly fulfill their potential. And a lot of that time is going to be spent building muscle, in the beginning especially. So think about these things. If you really want to be competitive, I'm not talking about if you just fancy doing a couple of shows in a year. I'm talking about if you're looking to build a competitive career, you want to go to the highest level that you can, then you need to be thinking about a proper game plan. And that proper game plan is, in the beginning, compete to see how you sort of compare, right? So compete to see how you compare, how you match up to people on stage, get an idea from the judges what you need to work on, right? See where you place, then take that data back, go into a good off season, give yourself the time, then come back out and compete a year later, right? But if you think that you can compete multiple times during the year, and if you're lagging on a body part or you're lacking in muscle tissue, that you'll be able to make that up with short off seasons, man, you're just spinning your wheels. That's the truth.
A really fucking good point. If you compete and the judges' feedback is that you need bigger legs, you need bigger arms, you need bigger shoulders, and you think that's going to be achieved within a 2 week, a 2 months, a 3 months off season, then you're absolutely living in fucking planet cuckoo land, yeah? You've got to take, number one, you've got to take the judges' feedback. If their feedback is that you need to gain more muscle, really, if you're, let's take the fun out of it. If you're doing it for fun and just doing it to do it, then okay, fair enough. If you're doing it to be competitive and their feedback is that you need to gain more muscle, I wouldn't even be thinking, it wouldn't even contemplate my mind to compete for another year at least, minimum another year. Maybe even further, maybe even 18 months, because I'd spend a year off season, putting the muscle on, and then I'd spend 6 months dieting for that show. So if you get feedback that you need to gain muscle, please do not think you're going to get bigger and get better muscle by competing more and more often. The other thing I would say, if you are planning on competing multiple times in a year, it's actually something that we didn't do too much.
Yeah.
Most we would do is 2 shows. There was a couple of years where we've done 3 shows. Have the shows planned. You know you're going to diet for, let's say, 20 weeks, yeah? And you know 20 weeks is your goal. That's when you're going to be in your best shape. Compete at 12 weeks out. Compete at 16 weeks out. Compete at 20 weeks out if you want to get the experience. That's a way that I would do multiple shows. But if you think that you can peak for multiple shows, I just want to ask you, go online and see some of the bodybuilders who have done multiple shows during the year, multiple shows, show after show after show. They progress, they reach a point where they look good, but then they just get worse.
Yeah.
Their body just gets tired. There is a reason why when you're about to compete, you've got no sex drive, you're moody, you're getting no sleep, you've got no motivation, you don't want to do anything with your mates, you're antisocial. There is a reason why you're all of those things. The body isn't meant to be like that, and keeping the body in that state for a prolonged period of time is only going to fuck you up.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. And it kind of takes us on to our next question, which we won't spend too long on, because we've kind of answered it already, but I like to go over it again.
Let's go
right?
deep. Let's go real deep, man.
So we wait for this plane to go past. Probably just another fan, just trying to get a view of the secret hideout that we're in. Right? We're not fugitives.
It's actually immigration.
It's actually immigration looking for us. Hopefully, guys, Rishi Sunak said, he might be sending us back, but so far he hasn't enacted. All he's trying to do at the moment is he's trying to remove some human resource and some human right laws. Then unfortunately our time's going to be up.
Then we're done.
So the question is, how long would you recommend I bulk to truly gain a lot of muscle? Right? So I get a lot of people coming to me, especially a lot of young lads who are starting out on their sort of bodybuilding journey, starting out on building their body, right? And the common question is, well, how quickly or how long do I need to put on a good amount of muscle? Now, I get it, because when I first started training, I was 18 years old and I only weighed 130 pounds, which is just over 9.5 stone. And I was so skinny, and it really affected my confidence levels, right? It really affected me as a person. I just wanted to feel strong in myself. I just wanted to be bigger. I just wanted to be more powerful. So I get the urgency, because I can tell you right now that I would have done anything to put that size on, because I just felt that would have changed my life and changed me, right? So I do get where you're coming from, but I'm going to tell you the correct answer here, and the right answer, what I did myself and what I advise clients to do. If you're starting out on building your body, right, and you don't really have a lot of size to you at all, what you need to do is this, right? And this is the best advice that I could possibly give you. If you follow this advice, I honestly tell you, it will change your physique, it will change your life, right? Is you need to give yourself, in all honesty, a good 1 to 2 years of solid bulking, right? This is, especially at the beginning of your training, right? Especially at the beginning of building your body, is probably the most powerful and pivotal thing that you could do to change your entire physique, right? And when we talk about bulking for 2 years, we're not talking about just stuffing your face full of fucking food and getting fat, right? What I'm talking about is this, taking the time to get a lot stronger, right? Genuinely improving on every single lift for every single muscle group, right? Genuinely giving your body enough time to manufacture, to grow new muscle tissue, and genuinely giving yourself enough time to really take yourself up to a new level of size. Do you know what I mean? And so many people miss out on this because they're so worried, because we live, again, the culture that we live in now, it's all about the visuals, right? But look, here's the reality. Unless you're willing to put on a bit of body fat, unless you're willing to get a bit softer, right, you're never actually going to gain the muscle that you need. So for newbies and for people who are looking to build their body in the beginning, right, give yourself that 1 to 2 year bulk, man. And when you're bulking for 1 or 2 years, that doesn't mean that you have to be out of shape. It doesn't mean you need to be holding a lot of body fat. During that time, you can have phases where you're doing like little mini cuts, keeping yourself tighter, refreshing your body, refreshing your digestive system, resensitizing the way that your body is dealing with insulin, right? These are all important things. So on that sort of 2 year bulk, you wouldn't be bulking from day 1 to the end of year 2. During that 2 years, right, you'll absolutely have phases where you bring the body fat level down, right, take a break from eating so much food, give your digestive system a break, reset your insulin sensitivity. These are all things that will actually allow you to bulk better and keep you in better shape as you do it. But predominantly, the main focus that you should have during those 2 years, and I wish somebody told me this, right? If you just do it properly, you just get in the gym, you train as intense as you fucking can, right? You eat correctly, you give yourself time, you repeat that shit week in, week out, right? Gradually getting stronger across the board in every single body part, right? Gradually getting bigger, right? Gradually pushing yourself further. Within 2 years, you'd actually be dumbfounded at how much you can change your body. I'll keep saying this and I'll say it to you again. The example I like to use with a lot of people is this: to lose 10 pounds of body fat, for most people, it's very manageable within a 4 to 6 week time period. Maybe for some people who really struggle, it'll be a little bit more than that, right? But genuinely, you can lose 10 pounds of fat, certainly with under 10 weeks, right? Gaining 10 pounds of muscle, no matter how much you eat, it doesn't speed up the process, right? Gaining muscle, proper muscle tissue, gaining inches on your body part, right? Genuinely getting a muscle stronger, the ligament stronger, the bone stronger. That takes time. Make peace with it and understand the phase that you're in. Because I know that when I was in a bulk, it was nothing like cutting. When I was trying to lose body fat, I had more of a bodybuilder mindset, looking at my body, hitting poses, trying to see definition, right? When I was bulking, I just put a hoodie on and it was hard motherfucking training. And that's what I used to look forward to. Eating a lot of food and then using that food to get fucking stronger than ever. Right, and that's the lost art now, right? So many people don't want to do that because they're so conscious about trying to be in condition all year round. Man, you can't have the best of both worlds, right? The reality is that if you say to yourself that, hey, look, cutting and bulking are two different sort of pathways, right? What do I want to do? Well, I want to build more muscle. I want to build more shape. I want to build more strength. I want to build more size. Well, that in that phase is very simple. Your whole focus is going to be being consistent in getting in a good amount of food that keeps you in a calorie surplus, that keeps you in an anabolic environment, that allows you to grow. And the same with your training, right? Intense workouts, not for a couple of weeks. You do intense workouts, you keep yourself in an environment where you can gain muscle. You do that for a year to 2 years with the intermittent fat loss phases, mini cuts. You won't believe how much it changes your body. And I wish more people would do it. So many people, so many of you watching this, you don't actually realize that you're only 1 or 2 maximum proper bulking phases away from completely changing your physique. Understand this, that when you lose body fat, even though you see a drastic change in your physique, all you're doing is revealing what you've already developed, right? If you're really lucky, you'll gain a bit of muscle while you cut, right? But to truly develop your physique to another level, so like you want to build rounder shoulders, you want to build a thicker upper chest, you want to have bigger arms, you want to have bigger legs, bigger calves, a wider back. The only thing that's going to achieve that is bulking, right? And until you take yourself to a new level of size, I promise you now that staying lean or predominantly cutting, you will look better because you'll have a bit more definition, right? You'll look a bit harder, your muscles might look a bit fuller, but you're not changing your shape. You're not changing your shape. You're not growing out of any clothes, right? You ain't hugging any sleeves, right? That comes from proper bulking, and that is something that unfortunately too many people don't do today, right? I'm telling you now, you put the time and effort into it, you'll DM me within a year or two, and you'll tell me it changed your whole physique. It's that simple.
Yeah, I want to touch on something. If you are a young person, or you are a newbie, and I'm assuming if you want to bulk up, then you're probably starting off from quite a skinny, maybe even a skinny fat base. You don't even want to be considering, it shouldn't even enter your head about cutting within the first year, 18 months of training. Your body is so sensitive in those first few months, that first year of training, that you should use that to your every advantage. I'm telling you now, your body is in a better position than most people who are taking anabolics, because you've never done it before. Your body's never been in this rhythm before. Your body's never been in this routine before. Everything that you do will be new to your body, and you will constantly make rapid gains if you can just stick in a surplus, train heavy, train properly, sleep properly, rest properly, live properly. You will make the best gains that you've ever made. In those first few years that we started training, we've never made the results that we made that quick in that short amount of time, because your body's just new and it soaks everything up like a sponge. And one more thing I wanted to say is about bulking, is that I've said, you're trying to create something new, and you're not going to do that by being in a calorie deficit. You're never ever going to do that by being in a calorie deficit. I wish more people understood that if you want to make something bigger, you're going through a process in a cut of making it smaller. There's no fucking logic behind it. If you're trying to improve something, you've got to get it to grow first. Let's say, just a stupid example, but let's just say, yeah, you want a good haircut, side partner, whether you've got a bald head. What are you going to do? You're going to keep trimming it? Or are you going to let it grow so that you can actually then trim it into a good haircut? It's just, you've got to think about stuff logically. If you want to gain more muscle and you want bigger arms and bigger legs, bigger shoulders, bigger back, you have to grow it. That's the only way. You're not going to get it by being in a calorie deficit.
No, you're not. And you know, one thing that I'll say to you guys is this, is that once I actually understood how important bulking correctly is to building a body, every time I would bulk, right, and I would usually give 8 to 10 months to a bulk, and then I'd cut for like 4 or 5 months at the max, right? Every time I would bulk, I would diet down to a whole new looking physique. And I used to love it, man, because it wasn't just a case of like, okay, you got ripped again. It was a case, oh shit, this time my chest is bigger, my shoulders are bigger, my back is wider, my quads are thicker, right? And you're looking at your physique and you've never seen your physique look that way before, because you're revealing that new muscle that you've gained. And also, there's other things as well, like you cut down and you're like thinking to yourself, shit, on this cut, I'm wearing a t-shirt one size up that I've never worn before. So you knew that you were going to diet down and you were going to be looking at something new in the mirror. So, you know, if you're watching this, and it's unprejudiced. This is what I love about it. It doesn't matter whether you're non-binary. It doesn't matter whether you're a woman. It doesn't matter whether you're a man. It doesn't matter whether you're a man identifying as a woman or a woman identifying as a man. It's very simple. If there are body parts that are on you right now that you want to grow, so whether it's your glutes, whether it's your legs, whether it's your hamstrings, whether it's your chest, whether it's your arms, whether it's your shoulders or your back, you are never going to see notable size improvements on these body parts until you just suck it up, right, and actually put yourself through a proper bulking phase, right? And until that happens, you're never going to see the development in your physique improve. And what you have to understand is that, exactly like Yasser said, is that it's not about getting out of shape. What it is that building up that new level of mass, right, gives you the ability. So once you've gone from here, so this is where you started your bulk, you've done a good 8, 10 months of bulking, now you're up here, you're up in size, you're up in strength across the board, right? You almost have a new mass to sculpt. And when you sculpt it, where you were here, right, when you started your cut, after you got up here with the bulk, now you'll be at a level of here, because now you got rid of the fat, you're carrying that extra muscle, and you're just as lean as you were before. That's building a body 101. I just told you how to do it, right? think about it systematically, logically. A lot of people are under this misconception and misguidance. And I get it, because you don't know how to build a body, right? But a lot of people think, if I just eat right, if I just train hard, if I just do cardio, I'm just going to get muscly and I'm just going to get lean and I'm going to keep progressing. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it doesn't work like that. Building a body is a multitude of different phases that you're navigating between and pivoting between continuously, right? And pretty much what it is cut, bulk, cut, bulk, cut, bulk, cut, bulk. A lot of you guys absolutely love Sam Sulek. Haven't you fucking seen that he's doing the exact same thing? He's doing bulks and he's doing little cuts. He's doing bulks and he's doing little cuts. And he's getting bigger and he's getting better, right? Why? Because he's not spending his year just trying to be ripped or just trying to be in condition. He's happy to put the food in. He's happy to get a bit softer. He's happy to get a bit of body fat, right? So that when he diets down, he's coming down to an improved physique. And unless you're willing to do that, you will, do you know what you'll do? You'll miss out on how much progress you could have actually made. Think about that.
Yeah, you're just prolonging the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So going to the next question now, a good question to be fair with you. I saw Dana White recommending fasting for multiple days. Is this something you would advise and why? So I think we all saw that Dana White video, right? Where he said that I think he had fasted for like over 70 hours and he was touting about how good it was and how much of a difference he feels from it and how good he feels within himself and how good his health is. Guys, I've said this to you before. I'm going to say it to you again. You might only be learning about fasting now because it's come into the general consciousness of society.
Yeah, it's
right?
buzzword now, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's fucking buzzword.
through social media. And so many people are propping up, selling fasting plans and all this sort of shit, right? Here's what I want to tell you. Please understand what I'm trying to say here. Fasting is not a new concept, right? Fasting has been going for thousands of years. It was utilized in literally every civilization from ancient times. Most religions discuss the benefits of fasting, right? So here's what I say to you is this, and I'm going to say it again. One of the best things that you can do for your body, right, to keep in great health, right, to give it a proper, real detox, right, to look after your digestive system, to slow down the aging process, is to fast, right? There's two ways that you can fast. One, you can lead your day as a daily fasting diet, so where you do intermittent fasting. If you really want to get the true health benefits for fasting, that you really want to implement that into your regime, which I do recommend, right? Then you want to do the water fast for multiple days, right? What you need to realize is this, is that when you don't eat and you're fasting, so you're just getting water in, you're getting your electrolytes in, maybe a bit of bone broth soup, right, to keep you going. When you fast like that for a multitude of days, man, it affects your body in such a positive way that I'd honestly tell you that you're missing out by not doing fasting, right? You don't have to go crazy with it. I would say if you do a 2-day fast, 3-day fast at the max, every 6 to 8 weeks, right? Put it in there as like a little service for your own body, like a car, right? You will only see benefits from it. Some of the biggest turnarounds in bad blood work that I've had with clients hasn't been take all these healthy supplements, take all these detox juices, take all these detox pills. You don't need to do any of that. Guess what you need to do? Fast and drink fucking water, right? That there, you don't understand. Your body is a highly fucking efficient machine, right? Your body will know what to do. When you're not eating, this is your body's opportunity to start to get to work on itself. Everything gets detoxified, right? You'll notice that your skin looks clearer. You'll notice that your hair looks better. You'll notice that your nails look better. You'll notice that your mental clarity is better. You'll notice that your digestive system is better. You'll notice that your blood work is better, right? This is what fasting does. And it's not something new. It's not something that we just found out now. Oh my God. Really? If you fast, it's going to help us? fucking hell, man, look into most religious texts. Look into most ancient civilizations. This is a common practice that's been lost and found again in today's age. So when we talk about fasting from a health standpoint of view, and I can't underline that enough because it annoys me when people think fasting is a really effective way of losing body fat. Simple as this, losing body fat is many effective ways of doing it, right? But when we talk about predominantly focusing on your health, giving your body a proper detox, one of the most powerful, pivotal things that you can do is fast. And you don't need to go crazy with it. You don't need to start fasting every single week. If you just look at your year and you say that, look, every 6 to 8 weeks, I just want to give my body a break. I want to give my body a clear out. I want to give my body a detox, right? Just schedule in 2 to 3 days of water fasting. You will see the benefits, right? It's only going to be a positive for you. And that's what I recommend you guys. And people will say, well, what do I do on a water fast? It's exactly the names on the tin. First of all, I recommend you do a fast and you get spring water. Spring water is very good at hydrating the body. The tap water you're drinking, pardon the pun, has got a lot of shit in it, right? And that's the reality. So I stick to spring water, which replenishes the body really well, right? Especially when you're fasting. Secondly, keep on top of your electrolytes so you don't have any cramps, right? So you still feel energetic. Electrolytes make a massive difference when you've got the absence of food, right? And then last but not least, something like a nice bone broth soup, right, will see you well, or even a little bit of fruit like watermelon or that sort of thing, right, will see you well. Do that for 2 or 3 days, and you tell me the benefits you feel. You tell me how good you feel. And I would say to you this as well, really, like, think about what I'm going to tell you here, right? I'd urge you, before you start fasting, go and get some blood work. Then start to look at your blood work after you've fasted a few times, right? You will see improvements across pretty much all your markers. The body repairs itself. It goes into a state of repair and detoxification when you're fasting, right? It's a tool. Utilize it in your own life to protect your body, to protect your longevity, to protect the quality of your life and the health that you have. You'll never go wrong. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that's exactly true. So if you came to me and said, yes, sir, I want to do intermittent fasting to lose weight, I'd say, okay, that's fine. It's one of a number of ways that can get you into shape, yeah? If there's no special thing, it's not like if you're eating on a surplus and you ate it intermittently fasting way versus eating all day, it would be better tool to use. No, it wouldn't be. You'd get the exact same result. It's just another method. But if you said, I want to use it for health reasons, there is nothing better. There is nothing better than fasting. We live in a day and age where we're fucking spoiled. We eat when we're happy, we eat when we're sad, we eat when we're depressed, we eat when we're bored, we eat when we're tired, we eat when we're awake. We're eating all the time. You could be sitting there at 11 o'clock at night, go on your phone, you've got something delivered to your house within 2 minutes. We live in a very spoiled society. Back in the day, and our ancestors naturally would have to fast anyway because food was not available to them whenever they wanted.
Couldn't just go down to the supermarket.
Do you know what I mean? They couldn't just go down to fucking Aldi's or Lidl's or Sainsbury's and go and buy some food. They had to eat when they could. Sometimes that could be for days. It takes our body back to its natural instincts. And our body's natural instincts is to survive and is to cater for that. So when you are in a state of fasting for a prolonged period of time, some people think fasting is not eating for a couple of fucking hours. But when you're in a proper fasted state for a couple of days, your body has just gone back to its natural state. It's cleansing it. It's cleansing all the shit that we put in our bodies every day. The fucking caffeine, the processed sugar, the fats, everything that we're putting in our body, it starts to refine. It's a little bit alien to me and Afser and our family, because obviously we're Muslims. So we've been fasting since we were 5 years old. We've been fasting every year since we were about 5-6 years old. So all of a sudden, we're now in our 30s, and everyone wants to fucking fast. And we're like, well, how's this new shit come along?
We're doing this a long time.
We've been doing this our whole life.
Since we were kids, literally.
Since we were kids.
Because what you have to understand is, like what Yasser said is very true, that when you fast, right, you've got to realise that, like, your body goes to work on basically cleaning itself out. So you don't just get the benefit of, okay, here my cells are going through a detoxification process. What fasting is really good for is it allows you to regenerate cell health. This is the thing that people don't realise, that whilst you're not eating and you're just fasting, your body internally is going for a lot of change, and a lot of change for the better. Is basically putting a purge on getting all that shit out your body, right? And it's repairing itself, right? So that's why I say to you that if you look at fasting as a tool to implement within your lifestyle, that's the key word, to implement within your lifestyle, right? It will have dramatically positive effects. And what I love about it is there's no gimmick to it. You guys don't need to buy a fasting plan. You guys don't need to buy supplements to detox. You guys don't need to be buying cleansed juice drinks. They're all cons, man, right? They're just trying to make you believe, oh, I had this supplement or I had this drink and I went for a load of shit, right? So I'm detoxifying. Nah, man, go and do the fast. That's how to detoxify yourself properly. That's where you can see proper, tangible results in your blood work, right? That's where you can see, when you can see and feel proper results across the board. So definitely implement it as a tool. And if you're working with me and you're a client, because I did tell you this in the last few check-ins, because I had so many inquiries, we can absolutely implement fasting into your program. It's not an issue. It is something that I recommend, whether you're bulking, you're cutting, whether you're trying to improve in a sporting discipline, whether you're trying to go down a competitive route, whether you're trying to lose body fat, whether you're trying to gain muscle. I don't give a fuck what you're doing, right? Whatever you're trying to do with your body, give it some time to fast. You'll thank yourself, you'll thank your body, and I'd like to think you might thank me. So we're going to the next question now, another good one. I have changed my diet, well done, and I am now eating well. Fantastic, but I'm still seeing no progress in my body. I'm seeing no changes. What would you advise? So look, again, another common misconception and another common sort of misguided view is that if you get your diet in place, so let's say you've decided that you want to get into great shape, you want to get into better shape, and you've gone to the effort of cleaning up your diet, you're eating quality food, right? You're monitoring your diet, and you're thinking to yourself like, oh my goodness, I would expect to see more change than this. Here's the reality, right? A diet, even if you spent the time to make sure that you're getting real quality food, even if you make sure to take the time to know exactly what you're eating in terms of macronutrient wise, right? You have to realize that a diet isn't going to change your body by itself. A diet is like, if you're eating a good quality diet, yes, you'll get healthier. There's no doubt about it, right? Yes, you will drop some body fat. There's no doubt about it, right? And you're never not going to benefit from eating a quality diet where you've made an effort to make sure you're getting the right food sources, you've made an effort to make sure you're getting the right amounts of food. But the reality is this, is that what actually changes a body is what you do in the gym, right? That's the truth. It's what you do with that diet that makes a difference upon how you look, right? So I'll give you an example of what I mean. If you're looking to build a bigger chest, right? Or you're looking to build bigger glutes, or you're looking to build bigger arms or shoulders, or you're looking to improve in a certain lift, or you're looking to drop your body fat levels down to a low level, right? We're talking visual changes here. So you want to change your body in a visual sense, right? You want to build a body, a better body, right? A body that you want to build. A diet, unfortunately, is not where it ends. That's where it starts, right? So once you've got your diet in the correct position and you say, okay, I want to gain muscle or I want to lose body fat, I've set my diet up to facilitate that. It doesn't just fucking happen, does it? The diet's not going to build you an inch on your upper chest. A diet's not going to build you peaked biceps. A diet's not going to build you triceps that come out. A diet's not going to build you round and full glutes, is it? Let's be real here, right? The diet doesn't have the ability to do that by itself. It's what you do with that food that will allow you to build your body, right? And so many people don't realize how the intensity that you need to train with, right, to actually change your body on a visual, physical level, right? You see, whenever I was in a cut phase or whenever I was in a bulking phase, right, my diet was an afterthought. And what I mean by that is that once my diet's set up correctly, I'm not worrying about my diet. I'm not expecting my diet to do fuck all, right? Because I'm like, my diet's in the position that I needed to be in. My whole focus then becomes my training and my cardio, right? How hard am I actually training, right? So many people who say they can't make progress, so many people who say they're not seeing changes in their body, if they revisited the way they trained, they would see absolutely where they're going wrong. When's the last time that you actually increased a lift, right? When's the last time that you were nervous to go and work out because you knew the intensity that you were going to put yourself through? When was the last time that you came back from a workout and you were absolutely exhausted because you put every single fibre of everything you have into that workout. You'll commonly see people in the gym who do eat good quality diets, right? Okay, they're not on a hardcore cutting diet or a bulking diet, but they're eating what they think is right food, right? They're not overeating, they're not undereating, but their body's not changing. And you look at the way that they train, and you look at the way that they do their cardio, and you know this, you're watching this, and you know that when you walk into your gym, how many people are you seeing that don't get out of shape, but they don't change shape?
So many people.
And if you think it's the diet, you're gravely mistaken. Because once your diet's in a good position, right, what makes the difference is how hard you're training, the consistency of that intensity, right? The recovery that you're getting, right? That's what changes the body. You know, like if me and him were on the same, let's say me and him had similar body weights and everything like that, and we're on the same diet. If this guy's training like a pussy, right, and I'm training my fucking nuts off, and we're on the same diets, and we're brothers, right? So this is a good example. Who the fuck do you think is going to make more progress? Because he's on the same diet as me. Do you think he's going to make as much muscle gain? Do you think his body's going to change as much? If I'm training twice as hard as him, I'm twice as consistent as him, I'm pushing myself each and every single workout. You have to realize, guys, that when you're trying to build a body, right, once that diet is set, it's the foundation that you build upon. It's what you do in the gym. It's what you do with your recovery, right? That's what builds a body. And so many people that I see, they're not even penetrating their muscle deeply. They're just tickling the fucking thing. It's foreplay. There's no climax in your workout. It's just a whole workout of foreplay, just tickling the muscle, right? Understand that if you want to build a body, you've got to take your body somewhere where it's never been before, right? So that you're continuously having to what? Adapt. When you're exposing your body to a higher level of intensity and you're performing better, week in, week out, your body gets no time to settle. It's like, for fuck's sake, man, this guy's pushing me harder and harder. I have to build more muscle. But how many of you are genuinely giving it a reason? Like, if you're struggling right now to change your body and you're confident that your diet's in a good position, then you've got to look at your training. Are you overtraining? Are you doing too much volume? Could you be training more intensely, right? Could you be focusing on getting stronger? Or how are you connecting with the muscle? Look at all these things, because so many people, right, they don't make results in spite of having a good diet because their training doesn't match what they're trying to do. Think about what you're trying to do. If your goal watching this is, I don't give a fuck how I look, mate. I just want to be fit, I want to be healthy, and I want to be in some sort of decent shape, right? A diet will get you there over a good amount of time, right? You'll just lose a bit of body fat. You know, you won't put any fat on. You'll be in a healthy position because you're eating right. But if you actually want to change your body, so you look at yourself and think, fuck me, man, I want bigger arms. Or you're thinking to yourself, man, I want a bigger chest, or I want a wider back, or I want fuller glutes, or I want better legs, or better calves, or forearms, or whatever. Think about what you're doing in the gym, because that's where you're putting that food to use. And if you're not giving that food a reason to grow your muscle, it ain't just going to happen by accident, trust me.
Yeah, and do you know what? Pisses me off because in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, the whole mantra that it's 70% diet, 30% training was really, really pushed, and a lot of people believed it. If you're talking about health and weight management, absolutely agree.
Yeah, I agree.
70% diet, 30% training. In fact, fuck training. You don't even need to train. You can manage your weight perfectly just by managing your diet. But if you are talking about changing your body, listen to that, changing your body, it's not going to change with diet alone. Both need to be at the top level for you to be able to change your body. You can have the best fucking diet in the world. If you're not training hard, if you're not training consistently, if you're not training heavy, your body's going to look exactly the same, just a smaller or bigger version, depending what your diet's doing. If your diet's making you gain weight, you're going to look like a bigger version of yourself. If your diet's there to lose weight, you're going to look like a smaller version of yourself. If you want to actually change your body, you've got to put serious time in the gym. You've got to be consistent. You've got to rest properly. Like Afser said, give us the same diet. If I'm training once a week and Afser's training 5 days a week, you have to be an idiot, an absolute idiot, to think I'm going to make better results than he would training 5 times a week. So they both go hand in hand. If you've sorted your diet out, fantastic, brilliant. We're always advocates of being healthy eating. There's even some clients we work with, they actually don't give a shit about their body. They just want to eat healthier. They want to lose a little bit of weight. They want to feel better within themselves. And actively, we all know as humans, you should eat better, right? When you're buying, a Rustler's burger every day and it's got 700 ingredients in, we know we should be eating better. But if you actually want to change your physique and change the way it looks, change the way that your chest, change your shoulders, change your arms, change your legs, your ass, whatever it may be, both have to be at the absolute top of your priority.
Absolutely spot on. So we're coming down to the last questions now, and it's actually been a really good podcast, to be fair with you. Really enjoy these. So, do you have any more advanced secret training techniques for gains? I have a whole laundry list full of advanced techniques. Let me give you a little technique which I'm a massive believer in, all right? So when we talk about advanced training techniques that you can utilize to build more muscle tissue, I want to give a lot of credit to Dante Trudel, to be honest with you, because this is where I learned a lot of this stuff from. So Dante Trudel popularized a method, right? So when we talk about advanced training techniques to build up more muscle tissue, to push your body further, to really get into the depths, right, of more and more progress. A great technique was one that was popularized by Dante Trudel and then kind of resurfaced through Jordan Peters, right? And that is rest pause. Yeah. I honestly think rest pause, I would predominantly use a rest pause technique more in the off season. The reason is because you have to remember, man, at the end of the day, your body can only grow and progress as fast as you can recover. When you do a rest pause technique, it puts a lot on your body, right? It puts a lot of pressure on your nervous system, so it takes a lot to recover from. So I would say rest pause, and Dante did used to say this himself, especially when you're on a contest prep phase. Really, rest pause, you're going to see the truth of it, the real benefits of it being in a bulking phase, all right? So what rest pause is this, and please research it yourself. It's a great technique. I used it a lot, and it helped me overcome a lot of plateaus in struggling body parts, struggling with strength, you name it. So rest pause is this. Let's say, for an example, right, so we can look at how rest pause works. So let's say, for an example, you're going to do a chest workout, and typically, like I'm just giving you an example, like your first exercise is a barbell bench press, right? And normally you would work up to the heaviest weight that you could use for like 6 to 8 reps. And for you, that's 100 kg. So typically you would do your workout, you'd warm up, right? Do a few warm up sets. Then you'd go for your heavy all out set, which is 100 kg. Rep 8, you can barely move it up, and then you're done. You've taken your muscle to failure, right? And that's a good exercise, done. Rest pause says, fuck that, right? We ain't stopping there because you failed once, but we can get more reps out of you. Man, I love it.
It's fucking going deeper.
It's one of the best techniques, isn't it? It's one of the best techniques. You do this, you will know what pain is, right? So what Dante said, right? And again, I can't emphasize, the guy's a fucking genius, right? His methods really, really work. The guy dedicated his life to understanding how to gain more muscle mass. What Dante would say is, so where you would normally finish your exercise, let's say where you normally fail at 8 reps, right? You rack the weight, you finish your exercise, you go into the next one. What Dante would say is, you extend the set by rest pausing it. It's amazing how it works. So you'd finish your 8th rep, where you'd normally call it quits. You take between 10 and 15 deep breaths, you unrack it, you get a couple more reps, right? So you might have got 8 reps with the 100 kg on your bench press. You do your first rest pause set, you might get another 4 or 5 reps maximum. Then you fail again, but you don't stop there. You repeat it again. You take 10 to 15 deep breaths, and then you do one final set where you might only get 2 to 3 reps. So now you've taken a weight that you initially failed at 8 reps with, and because you've taken the time to rest pause that set and extend that set, you've now taken that 100 kg where you normally fail at 8 reps, and you've got close to 14, 15 reps, and you failed 3 times, right? When we talk about penetrating a muscle deeply, such deep penetration, right?
Such deep stroke.
Very deep.
Very deep.
There's no balls left, right? That deep, right? But when we talk about penetrating a muscle deeply and really accelerating progress, I will tell you right now, rest pause is one of the best methods. Not only does it add good amount of muscle to you, not only does it allow you to break through plateaus, but it actually makes you really fucking strong too, right? So if you're looking for something a little bit sexy, would never attempt, you won't be able to do it on every exercise anyway. Pick some core exercises, right? Usually I think like, I like compound movements, but you could potentially try this on isolation movements as well, right? And you go to where you would normally finish at like I say, 8 reps. You extend the set by doing 2 rest pause sets where you take deep breaths between the sets, right? And then you try to get a few more reps each time until the point where you've now taken a set that you'd normally fail at 8 reps for, or 6 to 8 reps, and you've got between 12 and 15 reps. Believe me now, you will see some incredible progress. And it's a great intensity technique to use outside of just add more weight or just add reps, right? This really allows you to take that muscle to a place that it's never been before. You'll feel it when you do it. DM me to let me know how you find it, right? But when you do it, you will know what I'm talking about, and you fucking will feel something in your muscle that you've never felt before. And if you utilize this properly, right? Remember, you can't just do it for every body part because your body has to recover. But if you pick body parts that you're struggling with and implement a rest pause technique with it, you'll be dumbfounded at how much you'll get just from that exercise. I'll honestly be a game changer for you.
Yeah, 100%. The one that I really like, and the reason why I don't talk too much about it is because it's time and attention. And I think the reason that I'm very I'm a bit quiet about time and attention sometimes with people, because people misunderstand what time and attention is. They think it's a lightweight and you just take ages to do a rep, and that's not the case. You are still working to a heavy load, but when you are training and you're doing the exercise and you're doing the reps, you are putting your muscle under stress for a longer time by slowing down the reps. So like in Afser's case, what he said about the rest pause, if you actually think about it logically, stand back and think about it, the whole premise of rest pause is you're actually able to put your muscle under stress for a longer period of time with your top weight. So you do 8 reps, you take your 10 to 15 deep breaths, and then you go again for 5 reps, and then you go again for 3 reps. And what's that's actually done? That's mean that your muscle has spent more time under tension with that heavy weight. And that's how time under tension specific training should be done. It shouldn't be that you deliberately lighten the load to put your body under that extra tension, if that makes sense. That's not the point. The point is to stay with the good form and to stay with a relatively heavy weight in percentage of what your overall strength is, and keep that under tension. So, and what that might look like, let's just, again, bench press is the easiest one to use. A time under tension bench press may look something like 3 to 4 seconds down, pause at the bottom, push back up. Let's say you do 10 reps. You spent a whole minute with your chest under tension, right? That 100 kg that you could have done 10 reps for in 20 seconds, you've actually spent an extra 40 seconds, an extra minute with your muscle under that tension, having to adapt, having to be broken down. That causes really good muscle growth. I've really found that as really good, especially with the legs.
Fucking legs is a killer time.
It's just fucking unreal. And I tell you what, like, it came into real use for me, and probably Afser a bit. In the grand scheme of things, to the normal person, me and Afser are strong. But to actual bodybuilders and powerlifters, me and Afser ain't really that strong. Our bodies are just not. Ayub can outlift us all day, fucking every day, right? So that's how we found rest pause. That's how we found time under tension, because we needed other ways of forcing the body to adapt and putting the body under stress. And time under tension is a really, really good way. So that's another thing I would look up if you haven't already looked up that kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And a little disclaimer, I don't know what he's talking about, this pussy. I'm actually strong. That's a disclaimer, I am strong, right? So, last 2 questions here. I'm going to go into this. Yasser, you can come in if you want to, right? These are really questions for me. Oh, this is a saucy one. This is a saucy one. I keep hearing about blasting and cruising, right?
Oh, shit.
Is this a good way to use PEDs? What is this about? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down for you what blasting and cruising is and what it isn't. So we have to kind of go back to Dante Trudel. Dante Trudel created a sort of article and had talks on this. We're talking decades ago.
It was the fucking blueprint. It was the blueprint back in the day. It was.
And since then, it's kind of been bastardized
Yeah.
and it's just been shitted on and it's been manipulated. So I don't want you to think that what you see today as blasting and cruising is what Dante advised.
Before you say, Dante's actual goal was to get people off abusing gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his actual goal. His whole goal of releasing this was to take people from fucking doing themselves in.
Absolutely. So let's talk at a high level, right? And I love talking about this because you won't see many coaches talk about this, and you won't see many bodybuilders talk about it. But believe me now, I would say to you, in today's climate, honestly, most, if not all, bodybuilders who are trying to really pursue a competitive career are blasting and cruising, right? So let's talk about what is blasting and cruising. So let's start at a high level, right? Blasting and cruising, what is the theory behind it? So the theory behind blasting and cruising is this. If you are a competitive bodybuilder and you're looking to climb the ranks, right? And you want to build as much muscle as possible, you want to take your physique to the highest level of development as possible, right? And you're competing in untested federations where anabolic steroid usage is basically allowed, right? So it's an even playing field. Blasting and cruising, the theory behind that is that instead of going onto a cycle like they would say in the 80s and early 90s and then come off your cycle, run a PCT, get back to normal, the thing about the theory behind blasting and cruising was this. You would take your anabolic steroid cycle, right, which you're trying to grow from or trying to drop body fat from or whatever, right? And then instead of coming off and running a PCT, right, which actually causes huge fluctuations in your hormone levels, right? You would go on to our TRT dosage, right, of testosterone, where you would run that for what they would call a cruise period. During that cruise period, your goal was this. Try to maintain most of the gains, because obviously you're not going to maintain everything, right? But try to maintain as much as you can do from your cycle, from your blast, right? Get your body back into a healthy position in terms of blood work, blood pressure, all those sort of markers, and then go back onto a blast again, right? So the premise was this, the theory was this. You spend time blasting where you want to progress your body, right? Build muscle tissue, get into better shape. And then you use a cruising period to clean out, get healthier, maintain as much as you can from the blast that you just did, right? So that's the theory. And the reason why this came about was because it actually can be worse for you to take a heavy cycle and then come off, right? Give yourself 20 weeks or whatever, where your testosterone levels are in the gutter, trying to get that back, right? Putting the body through such violent swings hormonally actually could be a very negative thing. So again, the premise was, do a blast where you're running multiple compounds, a proper cycle, go onto a cruise that was TRT dosage testosterone, that keeps you at the higher end of the normal physiological range of testosterone, right? Maintain as much of the gains that you made as you could, right? And then once you're in a healthy position again, right, go back onto a blast. And this is what a lot of bodybuilders do. So they can basically fast track progress. The issue is it's being shitted on, right? So first of all, there's a lot of bodybuilders out there who are actually under the belief that a cruising dosage or a TRT dosage of testosterone is like 250 to 300 milligrams a week. I've got news for you. It's not, right? Secondly, you will see many people that'll be like, oh, I'm in a cruise phase. And they're running testosterone. They're running growth hormone. They're running either myostatin or primobolan. They're running peptides. They're running insulin. Are you fucking deluded? That is not a cruise. That's a full-blown cycle. So what's happened is, what started out as a sort of logic, right, to keep bodybuilders healthier, right, has actually turned out to be a situation that's allowed bodybuilders to just use more drugs and pretend to themselves they're doing something healthy.
That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it's turned into.
That's exactly what it's turned out
right?
to be.
So blasting and cruising is not what it used to be, because before, what you would do, you'd go into your cycle, right? You'd make your gains. You'd go down to half a minute of testosterone a week, which is about 100, 125 milligrams, right? all your levels on your blood work in terms of testosterone will come back down to completely normal, right? You'd make sure that you get back into a good, healthy position, like all your blood work's coming back perfect, your testosterone level's stable, you've maintained those gains for as long as you could do during that cruise period, and then you go back to blasting. This allows you to effectively make gains, right? So you make a gain, you cruise, you blast, you cruise, you blast. So you're continuously building up. What's happened today, and what I think is destroying so many bodybuilders is that they will look at a cruise period of, well, how much can I take to maintain the gains that I've made? So now it's not just focused on taking a TRT dose of test. Many of the guys that you look up to, many of the guys that you watch, right, are pretty much running a continuous cycle all year round. We can't sit here and pretend. A cruise is not taking full-blown high dosages of testosterone over 150 milligrams every 7 to 10 days, right? That's not TRT. Like, you have to just admit it to yourself. If you're taking 200 to 300 milligrams of testosterone every 5 to 7 days, that's a cycle, right? If you're taking growth hormone, if you're taking peptides, if you're taking insulin, right? If you're taking all these things along with it, and that's your cruise, that's your healthy phase, which is a lot of what these guys are doing, you are asking for trouble because you're taking no time off at all, right, from these compounds. All you're doing is switching different compounds, thinking that, oh, that's safer to take, right? That's my cruise period. But actually, you couldn't be more incorrect, right? Do I think blasting and cruising is a good way of doing things? My answer to you is no, right? I don't think blasting and cruising is a good way of doing things. But if we rephrase that question and you say to me, is blasting and cruising a safe way to do things if you are a pro-competitive bodybuilder? It's probably the safest way to go down that toxic route, right? Did you see what I'm saying, right? I would always advise you, and make sure you're following my account, because I'm going to go into this more in depth on my next podcast, right? I would always advise you that if you are going to do anabolics, fucking just take the time off. Take the time off, recover, spend a good amount of time trying to fight to maintain whatever gains that you can, right? And give yourself long breaks, man. Your body will thank you, you'll have more longevity, and you'll do yourself a lot less damage. If you are a competitive bodybuilder and you're going against all these guys that are using all year round, then blasting and cruising may be your only option. But fuck me, still think about your health. Don't delude yourself just because your guru has told you, oh, we're going for a health phase right now. You know as well as I do that if you're looking at your cruising phase, which is meant to be your health phase, your cleaning out phase, if it's got multiple compounds on that, what is that? It's called a cycle. It's called a cycle. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people will just delude themselves in, oh, that's healthy, right? You've got to think bigger than that, man. You've got to think bigger than that. You know, the reality is that you're always going to pay a price for taking these compounds. Now, the sort of approach should be, well, how can I minimize side effects and risks, right? And you're not going to do that if year round all you're doing is just rotating different compounds.
That's exactly it.
What are you doing? Did you see what I'm saying? So hopefully you understand what blasting and cruising is and what it isn't, right? And like I say to you, that if you're just a regular guy who just wants to build more muscle, build a physique, yes, you've used anabolics, right? Take the time off, man. Take the time off, clean out properly. Don't become dependent on this shit, because once you're dependent on it, right, it will fuck a lot of things up for you, right? And this is the truth that a lot of bodybuilders don't actually understand, and they don't realize the damage that they're doing. And then you see them, right, they go complete extreme 360. Like, you'll see it now. How many bodybuilders do you see who are in retirement and their goal is to save the world, and they've gone completely anti-bodybuilding? I can name them. You know you can name them. You know you've seen old bodybuilders on your feed telling you about how much they hated doing bodybuilding, how much it damaged their body, right? The reality is this: don't wait till you're old to have to undo that, or to try and undo that damage. Think about what you're doing, right? Give yourself a bit of extra time, right? Take the brake off your gear. Your body will thank you.
Bro, let me tell you what. So, Dante Trudel, I think for bodybuilders today, unless you started bodybuilding about, let's say, 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, you probably won't know much about him. But his whole ethos was, what is the minimum I can do to make the maximum gains? And what that's actually turned out to is, what is the maximum I can take without dying, without getting health issues, yeah? That wasn't the fucking point of blasting and cruising. The whole reason he released this blueprint and he gave so much information was because he said, I want bodybuilders to do the bare minimum and make the maximum results. And yes, it might take a little bit longer, but they'll fucking be here for longer. They'll be alive for longer. They'll be able to play with their kids for longer. Their partners will be around for longer. That was the whole ethos of Dante Trudel, and it's just been mixed. Like you say, if you're in a cruise phase and you're taking 7 different drugs, injecting seven times a week, I've got fucking news for you. This ain't no cruise phase, man.
It's not a cruise.
This ain't no cruise phase. This is not a cruise phase whatsoever.
And you just have to accept the reality. I think a lot of people can't accept the reality. Guess what? When you come off gear or you go onto a proper cruise, right? So when you're using a genuine dose of TRT, your physique is going to look shitter.
Of course it is.
Your physique is going to look shitter
in the first place.
Exactly, right? Your physique is good. Like, you have to be real with it. When you come off cycle or if you go into a genuine cruise, your physique is going to deteriorate. It's going to get worse. You're going to get softer. Your muscles are going to be less rounded. Your strength is going to drop. And back in the day, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, the goal, the challenge became, well, how hard can I work? How hard can I train to try and keep as much as I can possible of what I've gained, right? Trying to keep that strength up as close as you can, right? Trying to keep that size up as close as you can. And when you do that and you spend 20 to 30 weeks just fighting, trying to keep what you've put on from a cycle, right? You're in a much better position and you respond better when you go back on. But now it's just become basically just changing drugs all the time. I'm sorry to tell you it, but no one else is going to tell you it. I'm sorry to tell you, a lot of the people that you're watching, a lot of the people that you're looking at, a lot of people that you aspire to are literally using drugs all year round. What more do you want me to tell you, right? And it's not healthy. How many fucking of these guys have you seen drop dead? They look a picture of health. They're standing there, they're in amazing shape, and then you find out another heart attack, another heart attack, another heart attack. And everyone's scratching their head. Oh, it was a hereditary condition. You fucking morons. Like, hereditary condition or not, if you're using drugs all year round, do you really think your body's going to be healthy? Do you really think? Think about that. Last but not least, and this would be mainly me, not Yasser, unless he wants to pop one in, right?
I'll stick one in there.
Let's talk about, because I know you guys love compound talk, right? So let's talk about what I truly believe is one of the most underrated orals that is out there in existence. Turinabol.
Sweet old Turinabol.
T-bol, not Dynabol, right? Turinabol. Turinabol is one of the most underrated compounds when we talk about orals, in my personal opinion, that there is. You will talk to most people and they won't even know what Turinabol does or how it works or what it can do for you, right? And Turinabol, again, like I say, is so underrated and so underutilized. So let's talk about a bit of the history of Turinabol. Turinabol was mainly utilized, and we got to see what it really does for a body, right, in the Eastern Bloc. So a lot of Eastern European weightlifters, bodybuilders, strongmen, and all this sort of stuff, they were big users of Turinabol. So what is Turinabol? Turinabol is an oral. Now, it's like a combination of Dynabol and Anavar. That's what it's like. It gives you the fullness and the strength of Dynabol, but it gives you also a bit of a harder look like Anavar, right? It's not as watery as what you would look like on Dynabol or Anadrol. And why I think Turinabol is such a great compound is for a multitude of reasons, right? So let's talk about number one reason. One of the biggest reasons why I rate Turinabol is because when you're on a bulk, right, and you're trying to gain muscle, which is kind of like where you predominantly use Turinabol, a lot of people come to find out and realize that when you add other orals in, like Dynabol or Anadrol, even Anavar, right, it really upsets the digestive process. And what you've got to realize is that you're not going to grow without getting an adequate, consistent food. So if you take something like Dynabol or Anadrol, that severely hampers your digestion and your appetite, right, makes you feel nauseous, which is what a lot of people experience on that. Really, you're not getting anything from it. Yes, your weight might go up a little bit. Yes, you might have a bit more gear in your system. But truth be told is that you're just working against your body because you can't get the food in, right? So Turinabol doesn't actually interact in the body like Dynabol and Anadrol, right? Turinabol is a compound that a lot of people will find that even on a bulk, when they're eating a lot of food, it doesn't negate their appetite, right? It doesn't negate their digestive system. So turinabol is something that you can take alongside your bulk when you're eating heavy, pushing yourself, right? And you won't find any negative from it. So now you're able to kind of expose your body to a much more anabolic environment with a compound that you can use quite consistently without any negative effect in terms of digestive issues, in terms of nausea, in terms of appetite. Turinabol's also phenomenal because the way that it actually plays out in your body. So the number 2 reason I like turinabol is turinabol works very rapidly, right? So within a couple of days, what you'll notice from turinabol is your muscles, it'll be like they've just balloons that are just inflating, right? You'll typically notice every single muscle looks rounder. The way I would describe turinabol is like this. You know when you've had a really good workout and you've got a good pump, and then a couple of hours later, you haven't got the same pump, but your muscles are still full, they're still round, they're still like feeling thick. That's how turinabol makes you feel all day long, right? It's like you've got a semi-pump. It's like you've got a semi on.
Semi-lob.
Semi-lobber. It's called the semi-lob effect, right? You know, if you pull that semi-lob out, you kind of feel proud of yourself, don't you? It's kind of full. It's not fully there, but it's not floppy either.
It's not bad.
It's not flaccid, right? That's what turinabol does to the muscle. Turinabol gives you a really nice full-blown look, but it doesn't bloat you. So you'll notice on Anadrol and Dynabol that you tend to retain, yes, your muscles get fuller, but you retain a film of water as well. It's a bit of a bloofy look, they call it, a bloated look.
The bloofy fella.
Turinabol gives you a hard, full look, right? That's why I like to compare it between Dynabol and Anavar, because Turinabol will fill the muscle right out, but you won't be retaining water in the skin. You won't have that sort of thick skin look. You won't be bloated in the face or anything like that. Number 3 reason why I like Turinabol is because Turinabol, when you compare it in terms of blood work against most other oral compounds, it's actually quite mild, right? So with Anavar and Winstrol, you tend to, well, not tend, you definitely will see an impact on your cholesterol levels, right? And you will have an impact with Winstrol mentally. Winstrol is one of the worst compounds mentally, right? And you'll have a digestive effect from it. So I've never known many people who can use Anavar on a bulk, right? Certainly at a dosage that is reasonable, because it tends to hamper your appetite, which is good when you're cutting, right? It's not the worst thing in the world. Dynabol and Anadrol, again, tend to raise your liver values. They tend to raise your blood pressure, right? I know so many people who will get nosebleeds and high blood pressure episodes of Anadrol and Dynabol. Turinabol is quite mild, especially when you're utilizing it for 4-5 week blocks at a time. What you tend to find is that when you look at your blood work, you don't really see any negatives, right? It's very rare that you'll see a negative. Like you certainly won't see the sort of cholesterol impact that you would with Anavar or Winstrol. You certainly won't see the sort of liver impact that you'll see with Dynabol or Anadrol, right? And you certainly won't have the sort of blood pressure effects that you have, right? So that's another reason why I like it so much. And last but not least, one of the best things about Turinabol is its automatic strength gain. Like, it's fucking mad how it happens. When you take Turinabol and you know that you're taking real Turinabol, one of the telltale signs outside of the look that you get is that you become automatically stronger. It's fucking mad how it happens. So when you take Turinabol, I'm not talking within weeks, I'm talking within days. You'll go into the gym, and it's not that you'll be able to go and bench press now 20 kilos more or 50 pounds more. Just the weights that you're struggling with feel a lot easier.
Yeah.
Think about it. Turinabol was heavily used by Eastern Bloc athletes for weightlifting. That's what it was used by, right? The Russians really perfected it. So when you use Turinabol, you get great strength gains. Now, if you're going to get full muscles, you don't get much side effects, and you get great strength. And what can you do with that? Well, you add that into a bulk, it will really amplify the gains. You add that into a cut, it'll keep you strong while you're dieting. Can you see the versatility of that compound, right? And it's very easy on the stomach. So Turinabol, in my personal opinion, is one of the most slept on orals that there is. So as a recap, right, a lot, dramatic extra fullness in the muscle, quite a mild oral when compared to the other orals in its family, right? Phenomenal strength gains, a very versatile compound that can be used both in a cut and in a bulk, right? The biggest problem with Turinabol, and it's not too bad like lately, presently, Turinabol highly faked, highly faked, because not a lot of people use Turinabol, right? Turinabol wasn't really in the public forefront. It was more an Eastern Bloc thing. So Turinabol is hugely faked.
Yeah, and it's one of those things as well, because you made a good point. If you've never actually used proper Turinabol before,
wouldn't know.
You would think you're taking the right thing, because you would get all the strength gains in there, but it's faked for Dynabol a lot, isn't it? It's faked for D-ball a lot.
It's faked for Dynabol a lot. I've even seen lab reports where underground labs have sold Turinabol. So it's packaged as Turinabol, and it's actually a split between Anavar and Dynabol, that's actually a pretty cool cycle, but it's not Turinabol. You have to understand that Turinabol has a very distinct effect on your body. And again, the two telltale signs are a lot of fullness without the bloat.
Yeah, without the bloat, that's key.
Yeah,
key.
A nice hard fullness you get from Turinabol, right? Instant strength gains, and again, you don't feel any sort of, when you talk about side effects, blood pressure doesn't seem to be existent on that, right? You're not going to have bloating in the stomach or digestive issues. So it's quite a clean compound, right, to utilize. And again, the key thing is it is faked, right? So a lot of people have never used it. But if you can get hold of the real stuff, it's definitely a good addition. So guys, here we are at the end of another podcast. I hope you enjoyed that. Please do follow for more, right? I love sharing the education. I love sharing the knowledge. And I love the feedback. I really do. After working with as many people as I have, obviously my goal is to go far beyond that. I would love to one day be able to turn around in the next couple of years and say that I've personally worked with over 10,000 people one-to-one. But you have to realize that I now have a case study of information. You understand that? When you've worked with 4,000 plus people on a one-to-one capacity, right, walking them through every single week of what it takes to transform their body, that data, that experience, that knowledge, right, is something I don't want to keep up here. Without sounding morbid, you could drop any day of the week. No one's got guarantee on life. So being able to share that and getting the feedback, watching your videos made me think about this differently, right? Or it's made me do this in my life that's working really positively. Or it's made me change this in my program and I'm getting great results. That for me is more fulfilling than you can ever imagine, because this is turning into a life's work for me that I'm just sharing out. And I know that when I was struggling and I was just trying to decipher what's good information, what's bad information, we really didn't know what to follow. Right, so I like to just put out real, transparent information out there. So until next time, have a positive time.
Yeah, right. I fucking hope my phone ain't died. No, it's fine.
Kill. That was a good podcast.